Welcome everybody. Next customers I'd like to introduce are DSM. These guys are working with multiple teams in different parts of the world together at Mendix. And these guys are always challenging me as a CSM.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, I would like to do this with Mendix. I would like. So they are the guys who have brought Alibaba Cloud with Mendix together live in China. So that's really cool. So I would like to introduce Michael Blaettler and Mark Boon.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Bram, for introducing. It's indeed a pleasure for us to be here today at Mendix World 2019 and talk about our digitalization journey at DSM. As mentioned by Bram, I'm Michael, and at DSM I'm responsible for designing and building the IT applications in manufacturing and supply chain. And beside of that, I'm the service owner of Mendix and working together with Mark on developing that capability globally in DSM.
Yeah, my name is Mark Boon. I'm the product owner of Mendix within DSM. So we are developing apps, we are maintaining apps, extending apps, but also we're managing the foundation. So where ourselves and other teams are actually building the apps upon.
Yeah. And today we will talk about how we use Mendix in a way that we can kind of embark on a digital journey with our colleagues in the business, but also kind of foster a digital, agile flavor mindset in the business. But before we talk about low code and how we use Mendix in the context of DSM, we would like to share with you a bit about what DSM is all about. And for that, we would like to share with you a short video.
Hello. I do not get this one off.
Yeah, technology is going to work out soon. You can, I think, get over with your
I don't see the
split screens is always a bit difficult to manage.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's one thing I believe in, and that's our ability to adapt to our environment, to transform in order to survive. Look at this company. What started from harvesting coal in the mines became petrochemicals.
At the time, it was a necessary solution to the demands of a growing population.
But as life changes, needs change.
So it was time for them to change as well.
Exactly.
What was once a local coal mining company, they've grown to become a global science player in health, nutrition, and materials.
Through this transformation, the company flourished.
The challenges of nutrition and climate change and managing the Earth's resources can't be solved with just governments alone.
We need these companies with the technological expertise and innovative power to provide answers.
That's why DSM has decided to take the ultimate step in their transformation.
It's what they've been building towards over the past century.
Arrived at the true purpose of the company.
The reason for their existence. To create brighter lives.
For all.
And with 1 in 4 people across the world already benefiting from their products, I believe they can do exactly that. From the dark tunnels of the Dutch state mines, something beautiful arose, a love for our world and humanity expressed through science, balancing profitable growth with playing a positive role in the world.
Using bright science to create solutions for people today and generations to come. Healthy living, a stable climate, and a bio-based circular economy for all. I believe it's possible.
And I'm not the only one.
So it's quite a transformation from coal mining originally to the purpose-led, performance-driven company we are now in nutrition.
Hi, I am Tim, and I'd like to talk to you about DSM. DSM is a global science-based company.
So we got lots of videos
situated
on
in
DSM
50
on
countries.
YouTube.
All weekend.
Yeah, so check out YouTube.
Exactly. Indeed. So, and actually, I think everyone has something from DSM in the house without noticing. It's in your nutrition, it's in your refrigerator, it's in your car, it's in your phone, it's in the cables in your phone, it's engineering plastics, it's vitamins, it's enzymes. So it's actually, all around in what we do. We are a B2B company. We deliver to other companies ingredients and materials.
And we are all very proud of kind of creating brighter lives for everyone on that planet. And we see digitalization as kind of a driving force to achieve that. And we literally say now it's the time to make a change. And when we communicated our updated company strategy to our shareholders last year, we basically positioned digitalization as a very, very prominent part of our kind of corporate ambition. And as you can see here, we use digitalization on one hand to drive our top line results by increasing the customer intimacy, by creating a new customer experience. We kind of look at how we can use digitalization to improve our bottom line as well, reduce costs through automation, through better usage of data, but also how we can reduce waste and our environmental footprint by being smarter in the way we do our business using digital tools. And of course, in the third pillar, we also look at how can we use digital to kind of create new business ideas and new business models, which help us kind of live up to the history and the heritage of that company, which came a long way from being a coal mining company to the kind of science-based company we are today. And of course, we invested heavily into advanced digital platforms, but also into kind of ways on how we can transform the organization towards an agile mindset and way of working. And of course, our IT strategy is underpinning and enabling our business strategy. And we look at the IT strategy in basically 4 or 5 pillars. First of all, we look at service, and that's a bit the old school stuff of providing a cost-effective, reliable service to our users. A bit the less sexy part, to be honest, but kind of. But we also look at how we can automate the business by kind of automating non-value-adding processes in the business, by using robotic process automation and all kind of other technologies to kind of strive for short-term but also long-term benefits. We actively stimulate our organization in applying digital capabilities, but also an agile mindset to achieve the outcome. And we kind of look at how can we connect the different internal and external systems together, that we can make the information flow in the organization in order to kind of achieve the 5th pillar, which is the insights, so that we really want to use data to create insights and kind of reach smarter decisions.
Yeah, we do that with a digital technology platform. Mendix is part of it. We have our API layer with software AG, covering the APIs to the backends, making microservices from. We have robotics with Blue Prism. We have analytics platform with various tools and ways of doing analysis. We do our workloads mostly in AWS. We have our cognitive agent with Amelia, so like conversation-based chatting. So it's more than just one tool. It's really sort of a set of tools, set of capabilities that, together with what we already have, are trying to achieve these pointers. Now, and how does Mendix fit into that? So DSM is typically this corporate with lots of focus on SAP, slow changes, demand that was difficult to fulfill, highly customized SAP systems, difficult to maintain. And on the other hand, we had many homegrown, custom-built small apps that may seem very, very cheap and effective, but at the point you're starting to integrate them into other systems, those are always custom activities, custom jobs. If you want to make them compliant and make them meet, I don't know, single sign-on requirements, integrity requirements, that will always be a custom job. Yeah? So we actually identified that we needed a capability that on one hand makes us agile and make us able to respond fast and making really fit-for-purpose solutions, while on the other hand still covering the non-functionals and still be able to secure and compliant with what we do and make them also easy integratable. Yeah, that also sort of triggered the vision how we see this platform as DSM. It's sort of, I think the term professional is highlighted because it's and fast and local and specific, but it's still intended to be right, yeah, to be professional on it. So as I said, we call what we do fit-for-purpose apps. So we have SAP. We are not recreating SAP with this one. We have our core backend systems. We will also not create a reimbursement application with it. We already got SAP Concur. So it's really for those cases that extend the capabilities that we already have in the backend systems or introduce new things in it. So it's about extending, it's about combining, it's about sort of overcoming the limitations that we have in existing processes and systems that are supporting it. And we try also to live by the mindset that Mendix themselves also advocates, is to make things easier that seems difficult. Yeah? We also try to embrace that in our templates, is to make, I don't know, single sign-on easier, is to make have a standard UI, make deployments easier. So not to avoid in the pitfall that we would do, that we would be the typical corporate having a rapid platform, but still slowing it down because of all kinds of rules. We want to live by that Mendix principle also ourselves.
Yeah, and in order to achieve this platform vision, which was outlined by Mark, we had to be smart, how we approach that. Because being a global company, having businesses all around the globe in multiple business groups, it's not that easy to make it work. And our fulfillment model is basically centered around or built around a Mendix core team, which is basically setting up the underlying service, which is looking at the standards, at the way we do things, and is in the current setup we are in, kind of driving the development and also the support of most of the applications and apps we have up and running in a DevOps mode. But usually such a team alone can't really lift the whole thing. So we are also kind of relying on system integrators like, for example, TCS, who is part also of the core team, to kind of build offshore capabilities, but also help us support the application in an environment where we have more and more business critical apps, which have to be available 24/7, because we don't want to risk that a customer can't enter an order. Or we don't want to have an engineer in a plant who sits in front of a machine and he suddenly doesn't get the information he needs to do his job. And here we see one point where by leveraging our system integrators, which are also supporting SAP, for example, in the back end, we can create synergies as well, because often the app created on Mendix is the point where the user feels the pain of something not working, and often the issue is then finally resolved in the back end because something is broken. And having these kind of support processes and end-to-end flows clear is very important there. Our system integrators are of big help. Of course, we also look at specialized partners, which can help us complement our resource mix to kind of deliver special project or special assignments. And when we look around in the hall behind here, I think there are a lot of nice partners out there which can do a lot of interesting things, which will help us to kind of further strive for better solutions. Having said that, with all the partners out there, we still believe in DSM that we want to have our people to be the key custodians of the digital transformation journey, and we want them to step into Mendix. Because we believe our people are the people who know our business best, and by making them use the digital technologies like Mendix, we believe we can deliver business value faster and also in a more sustainable way. And in order to do that, we are now kind of shifting our organization to the right, as we call it internally, which basically means we have a large base of SAP specialists, which grew up in ABAP environments and also some other platforms where we did a bit more the traditional stuff. And we are now kind of encouraging our people to start adapting to the new digital world by kind of start learning Mendix, start go into it, start build an app. Because we believe that the experts we have in SAP, which understand the business processes inside out and how is it implemented in SAP, are the best people to actually build apps on top of our system of record in the best possible way, and avoid that we use the right technology for the right thing. And avoid basically that we, as Mark said, start to reinvent the conquer or reinvent an SAP system where there's already something around. And then, last but not least, we also see Mendix as a way to kind of drive digitalization in the organization, and for that we embrace the citizen developer concept. So we want that basically everyone in the company should be enabled and empowered to create apps themselves through the fantastic tools we saw this morning, which are very easy to use. And what we see here is, as an engineering company, we have a lot of smart people in the business, and probably all of you who are a bit involved in more traditional IT, you know that there are plenty of Excel files out there, Visual Basic applications and Access stuff. Sometimes we even run plants on these kind of tools. And I think we all know what happens when Office is being upgraded and suddenly certain macros doesn't work anymore. And that's usually a nightmare for IT, because then we get the calls and we have to fix stuff which we haven't, been aware of. And we see certainly the citizen developer concept as an interesting way to get smart people develop their apps in a compliant and secure way, where we as IT can keep a bit of control over what is happening, and we allow also the business to share best practices and kind of tap into the knowledge of everyone in the organization.
So these are some numbers. We started, the first app we started was what we call Engineer Connect. So it's in the area of Connect. So we make engineering plastics. DSM is known for having really good application developers and research on the area of engineering plastics. And we want to extend the reach of what these have, because they can only just talk to 100 people or 200 people, but we want to make the reach bigger. So Engineer Connect is a platform. It's it's really intended for engineers at customers to find our experts easier, so they can sort of collaborate faster, to find the information on plastic behavior faster, so they can inventory for themselves how that would apply for their use case. So that was the first case, and over time it actually sort of evolves. We started creating apps from Singapore with Tim. We have apps in marketing and sales area, both customer facing for order entry, for order status, but also for internal processes, quotation handling, pricing handling. Apps in the area of manufacturing with even production tracking. So in not all cases we can get data from these machines itself. It's paper-based, or someone putting it in an Excel sheet and then putting it back in SAP. So all these things, doing sort of app-based tracking on these things. In HR, in finance, but also more innovative things in what you call X-Time. It's like an internal marketplace to assign for special projects. Yeah, it's like a marketplace. We have a global team, so the core team is really global. So we have Switzerland we cover, Netherlands, Bangalore in India, US, and Sao Paulo in South America. Plus, because it's really global, it's really difficult. So we have for the APAC, we cover that differently. But even just acting global, you can imagine that we wear headsets quite a bit, and a day without a headset is what we call holiday or sick leave. Now, if you look at backlog, what we actually notice is that now the cases that we're doing are new cases and new scenarios. We were originally expecting more legacy migrations, but we did not see that yet. It's constantly sort of new scenarios or new cases that are done, and every app that we release will trigger demand automatically. We are not advocating demand; it just happens because it's providing a solution. It's not about getting work done. So let me give you two examples of what we did. One is what we call mobile maintenance. So we started in a plant in Switzerland, in Sicily. It's a vitamin E plant. As Michael also mentioned earlier, it is one of the biggest plants of DSM. It is quite a critical audience. Yeah, they're the biggest, so they have quite some power and some pressure. We were quite courageous of actually taking that one as one of the first cases to do something in the manufacturing area. Yeah. So this is really about the SAP process. Plant maintenance is within DSM covered in SAP, but it's still quite paper-based. So the technicians get the instructions on paper. They go to the site, they sign it off. At the end of the week, they have to fill in the booking hours, the queuing in front of the few PCs that are standing there. So one of also the learnings was more in a different way of working. So this is a typical audience that is delivering specs up front and expecting to be built something at some point. And we sort of flipped that around, that we did it interactively. So we really work together with the technicians. It also requires investment on their end. It's their application, it's their system. And we in the end did it together. So from the original spec document, I guess 50% isn't built, but other 50% or maybe even 100% is built extra. Yeah? Just because we're working directly, you see how things work in the system, you see how people interact with the system. Because we're working directly with the technicians, you really understand what they're doing. Yeah? So it's not just about making SAP mobile, but it's about making a mobile app for the technicians to be working wherever they want. And especially we anxiously waiting for the offline first capability that got announced, because as you can imagine, a plant not always have in all places very good Wi-Fi or connection. So we cannot wait to get connected on that one.
Yeah, and as this plant we have been in was one of the most critical plants towards IT, we actually achieved quite a bit, because at the end of the day, the users were happy. They started to experience the power of working in Agile with kind of 2 weekly sprints, with kind of stand-ups, with feedback sessions in a very timely way. And as they were convinced and they had a strong sense of ownership, the feedback was so good, and now also global leadership in manufacturing said, okay, that's the way now to go. We've proven it's in working the most critical plant. So now let's think about how we can deploy that further. Now this app is very much going, and we go with a team now from plant to plant and start to implement it. And thankfully to a rather standardized process, we can basically do 80% standard, and with every iteration we go through, we develop new features, which will then retrofit it back to the plants which have already the app. And that creates quite a powerful environment, because we learn every time we hit shop floor something new when we are there and listen to the people.
Yeah. Now another case which is totally different. So this is spot pricing for food packaging. So it's an engineering plastic in China. So the Chinese market is on consumer level really digital. Yeah? It's what they do with WeChat and Alipay. It's quite massive. And actually we wanted to explore both on the business end as the technology end, how this would work. Yeah? So how the concept of spot pricing would work using WeChat, but also how we can do it. So we we have this WeChat mini program that's connected to a Mendix app running in the Ali cloud in Shanghai, and that in the end connects to our backend via API platform to SAP. So we have OpenID authentication cascaded back to Mendix apps, and this actually the majority, the 60% app, is just getting people in the room, Mendix developers in the room, WeChat programmers in the room, and Ali team in the room, and get it done. It was actually really fun and rewarding to do what you can achieve in a rather short time. So these are just two sort of extreme examples. So on one hand, mobile maintenance, which in planned environment, it's a bit of a classic case, and this is more almost to new business development and how we use these kinds of platforms to do it. Which brings us to sort of the learnings we had so far. So we started developing our digital platform consisting of lots of capabilities, and we actually learned that or noticed that connecting to backends is really a key enabler for having proper Mendix apps. So that really needs to go hand in hand to get proper movement going on and to create proper apps. And we see also the cases, and I think especially with Wouter, I worked a lot for mobile maintenance. It really works well if you really have people bringing together from different backgrounds, different technologies, are working together on the spot and delivering things. I think it takes from weeks to days to get things sorted, or to get things decided, or to get things fixed, or get things implemented. And while developing apps and implementing requirements, it's fun to do, and it's rewarding to do, but it also takes a bit of the attention away of other things that are also important. So we still have a foundation to manage, we still have applications to support. We want to also improve our foundation to make it even easier to make more apps, to make better apps. So that's where we do have some challenges. It's not about just releasing and fixing and building and making apps, but also on keeping that foundation running and in place.
Yeah, because with success also responsibility comes, and usually the guys at shop floor are quite mad with us when stuff is not working. And last but not least is I think the fourth point is basically we believe that making Mendix available to everyone and empower everyone to do let's say app development, we can very much also help to get the organization moving on a digital agile journey. But it will also kind of increase the acceptance of the technology as such, and will help us spread the word more easily, because now we don't have to explain anymore to a lot of users what Mendix is all about. They know it already, and they have been able to explore it themselves, and that takes away usually a bit the resistance towards technology, where it's not like it's your technology, it's my technology, it's actually our technology, and we can all work on it and we can all make use of it. And I think with that we come to questions and hopefully answers.
Any questions?
Oh.
Okay.
So for your production apps, are you using Mendix Cloud, or do you have
No,
you directly deploy in AWS?
We run in AWS.
Okay.
We have our own AWS clusters.
Okay, thanks.
So what pieces of governance did you implement in your company to make it happen that citizen developers are basically able to work on their own on applications? So what are like the regulations that you think is the key for the success?
Yeah, no, that's actually the point where we start to develop now into.
Yeah. We actually have colleagues from our business in the room as well today who are listening in now and to hear what is going to be done. So Arul, hi. No, but basically we work also with Mendix to now think about digital academies, digital boot camps, and all these things. The core team has developed a Kickstart app, which after a half an hour crash course yesterday, I was probably the first time to use with the web modeler, which works quite well. So we try to give them enough thing, but certainly we want to do it through also education, training, stimulation, workshops, and preferably in a hands-on way, so that it's not just about the classroom training, you learn something, you go out and you forget it, but that it's also very interactive, you take use cases and you fix a problem.
I'm curious how you're managing the idea pipeline and prioritizing. I see 60 apps in the backlog. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. Is there any framework or any criteria you're using?
Yeah, demand and supply management is, as in probably most of your companies, a bit of a challenge. On one side, we face the constraint of costs and that we are supposed to not spend more money. On the other side, we have quite a large business with a lot of requirements to deal with. What we do is, as on our transformation journey towards agile, we look basically at kind of as an end state of capacity-funded team, which are kind of set up by functional area, where, for example, you have a business owner who then basically prioritize the backlog of a certain team. So that's our ideal end state we want to reach, where we have a very good relationship between the kind of the business consuming the product and basically the team who is working on it, because that takes a lot of hassle away in terms of value discussions. And I know usually in our business is a bit like one business group is 60% of turnover and a little bit more in profit. And there's a tendency that you prioritize these kind of demands. And by having a more tailored setup on the delivery side, we can accommodate to that and also simplify the priority discussion. But we are still in this transformation phase because at the moment we work heavily with business partners who have to manage then the priorities. We tell them that's our constraint supply. That's what we can do in terms of story points. Then dear business partners figure out what is most important. Exactly. That's the way it works today, but we have bigger ambitions there.
So now, for now we made it someone else's problem.
Those 11 core team members, what did they do before? Are they all new hires?
Yeah, let's ask around. Yeah. So we have Kirti. So
So I was part of Deloitte Consulting, and I was working a lot on SAP manufacturing, and I was hired with DSM, like with this mindset that I'll help them in their digital transformation journey, and it has been really quite like a good journey till now. So.
And then probably Eric or Marcello.
Well, I'm Eric. I already had some mobile development experience before. I'm an Android developer. I'm also a web developer. And abstracting Mendix was quite easy for me. But it's impressive how Mendix could be way faster than the traditional way of developing apps. So.
Yeah. So what you see basically is we have from all kind of flavors, we have people. From people using .NET development in the past to people from the SAP world. I must admit, the hardest nut to crack are the SAP colleagues. And I hope with all the announcements we saw in the last 2 days and the way Mendix is positioned in relation to SAP, we will be able to tell a better story, because SAP folks in our company still think like, but Mendix is for kids to play. We do the real stuff. And I think the world is changing, and one of the biggest challenges we have is also change the mindset of people. And that's not that easy. And but we see slowly, and I think with all the announcements we hear now, it becomes more clear that the digital train is running, and you better start to learn Mendix instead of ABAP.
When did you start using Mendix and why?
2 years ago, and it was part of what we call our digital platform, because we identified that we needed this capability. That is a crucial thing to be delivering and making solutions that are still compliant and are maintainable. So we actually identify that as part of IT strategy to have this capability, to have this low-code, rapid development capability.
Yeah.
Also the involvement of the users?
No, that was actually more IT strategy driven. Yeah.
We had a new CIO coming in who hated the term SAP. And yeah, so well, it's a bit black and white, but basically he saw the need that we need to invest into digital capabilities to take the company to the next level, and he was, kind of putting something in place without having the pull from the business. And thanks to the work of the likes of Mark with stimulating the business, kind of showing them what is the power of such a platform, we were able to turn it around and kind of have now the discussion around, look, what are your ideas? Technology is not the constraint anymore. And that helped us a bit, get a very positive dynamic into the discussions. And now we see more the pull from the business, and now we are more at the point where we struggle to catch up again.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Well done.